I have, I have got a cold. See, my head's already boggled. Hi guys, my name is Tisha and I make travel content. And today I'm going to be kind of starting my first series of talking about solo trips. I took 3 of them last year, and I just thought I'd give some tips and tricks on first time solo traveling and how I felt and everything like that. I have, I have got a cold. See, my head's already boggled at the minute. I have got a cold, so I do sound a little worse for wear. I currently sound like, if anybody ever watches Friends and remembers that one scene from one of the episodes where Phoebe has a cold and she loves the fact that her voice is quite husky and deep and she feels quite sexy. That's how I'm currently feeling with my voice. I feel like I'm very much about to start singing Paper Mache Man. And that's exactly what Phoebe sung. So you are going to have to bear with me if I start having brain fog a little bit and spacing out a little bit, just because at some point I will forget what I'm doing. But let's get into this. So in 2024, my very first solo trip was a day trip to Disneyland Paris. See? Not even thinking straight. My very first trip was to Paris, not to Disneyland Paris. It was a trip to Paris and it was a day trip. And it was solo. I had taken the Eurostar from St. Pancras in London straight to Paris Gare du Nord. I really hope I have said that correctly. I'm sorry if I haven't. I would have said correct me in the comments, but I can't hear you guys, so you can't correct me. But if you can sound it out in the comments, then absolutely go ahead and do that. But yes, I took it to Gare du Nord and it was just an easier route for me that I could navigate and pick up the metro from there and then work my way around the city. Biggest tip that I have for you guys is that if you take the Eurostar, please make sure that you book it well and truly in advance, a good few months before that you're going or know that you're going on a trip, because I booked it a month before. So I booked it in January of 2024 and I paid, I think, over £200 for a 1-day trip from London to Paris and Paris to London. And that was me taking the second train out and the second to last train coming back into London. But that was my biggest tip and my biggest mistake, was not booking this further in advance, because when I had looked at tickets months before, it was a lot cheaper than what I had paid. So that is my biggest tip that I could give anyone, that if you're booking the Eurostar, it doesn't take too long either. It takes about 2.5 hours if I'm correct. So it's not the longest. Obviously, if you took a flight, it'd be a lot quicker. But I live closer to Heathrow, but the flights from Heathrow was, again, a little bit more expensive than me taking the train. So it wasn't worth it, whereas taking the train was a little bit cheaper. So that is the route that I had taken. Just to touch base a little bit on what is in St. Pancras. So if you have never been to St. Pancras Station, it is across the road from King's Cross Station. But if you ever are taking the Eurostar from St. Pancras, just note that if you're taking a really early morning train, not all shops are open, and the coffee shops, the actual section where you go, once you go past security, it's a really tiny section. So there isn't always a lot of places to stand. There isn't always a lot of places to sit. And there are massive queues. There's not a time that I've gone there and there's not a massive queue for any of the coffee shops. Now, I don't remember what coffee shops are there. I feel like Pret is one of them that is there, and that's because I always go get a hot drink from that particular coffee shop. There is another few around in those areas, but again, that area where everyone's waiting for a train, it's very small. You've got to remember there's people going to Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam. So many people are going to different places, and they do try and limit it to whatever the 2 trains that are coming the closest. Those are the ones that they're going to allow you in first. So they don't allow you to come in too early. I think they always recommend coming an hour before your train's due to leave. And that just gives you enough time to get through the security section, to get through the gates, and to get through customs. And all of it is, again, in one section. It's very clustered, very tiny. So just don't expect it to be like an airport where it's extremely large and there's more space to do things and more shops, because there really isn't. There is, before you go security, there are shops out there. But when I had looked online and when I got there, I realised that none of them were open at the time that I was going. So just be mindful of that. So instead, because I did that, I did plan and bring sandwiches with me instead that I could eat on the train. and I just bought a cup of tea while I was there because I didn't want to have the struggle of carrying that through. Even though I didn't have any luggage, it was just a bum bag that I had with my stuff. And also just remember, another tip is to bring your passport. I know it sounds silly, but some people naturally think, train ticket is fine, but you are leaving the country. So just make sure that you are carrying your passport because you will need it to get in and to get back on either ends. So once I got into Paris, the metro station is right downstairs. So you will land and come in at the top half. You will need to go downstairs to get to the metro station. When you do get downstairs, you will need to buy a train ticket. I did buy a train ticket. It was easy to navigate. You can buy them from the machines, but I didn't necessarily understand the machines at the time. You can change the language, but then I got all flustered and panicked, and instead it was just easier to go to one of the guest relation bits. They do have them, and each time I have gone there, they speak English, but if they don't, then I just used Google Translate or something like that, and that is something that one of the questions that are on my list. I had people ask me questions about solo traveling, so that is one of them, about language barriers and how we navigate it. But a lot of them do speak English in the booths when you want to order your tickets. I just got a 1-day ticket and just said that I wanted to go around Paris, and they gave me the correct ticket for that. If just a side note, if you are going to Disneyland Paris, I think there is a different kind of ticket that you need to get. So just be mindful and make sure you tell the ticket person where you're going, just so you know that you can still sort that out. But I will come to that at another point and talk about little things to do with Disneyland Paris. But that is just to be mindful that if you are doing that and you're doing Paris and Disneyland Paris, then just make sure you're getting the right train ticket, because it can be a bit of a problem. So the first excursion that I had booked was the Louvre. I have always wanted to go to the Louvre, and it was amazing. 100% recommend it. You can buy your tickets there, but I always recommend buying your tickets prior to going. Now, I booked my tickets with Get Your Guide and paid, I think, €22 at the time for that. But I booked my ticket beforehand, and there are separate queues, and you do have to book for a specific time. Because that time frame, I mean, you don't have a time frame of how long you have to be in the Louvre, but they do have a time frame so that they know how many people are going in at the same time. So most people will have a chunk, and they'll get you to line up along the side. Make sure you get your pictures outside the front. I will insert a picture of the Louvre right here. But it was absolutely amazing. Now, one thing I do recommend, if you are doing the Louvre, it is massive. I don't think I even completed 3/4 of the Louvre. I think I maybe completed 1/4 of it. It is massive. It is huge. I'll insert loads of different pictures here and videos of that I have from where I had gone, sorry. But it was absolutely amazing. The main thing I wanted to see was the Mona Lisa. And I did get to see that. And again, I will insert a picture here. But it was absolutely amazing. But just know that you're not going to get it completed in 1 day or even half a day, because I spent maybe about 2 hours in there, and I looked at the time and was like, I need to go, because as much as I like being in here and looking around and seeing all the history and stuff, it just was not enough time to cover it. So you may or may not need to book more than 1 day, or you just may need to block out 1 full day for the Louvre to get as much of it done as you can. And then maybe on another trip, if you go back and you liked it, then to try and do the other half of it, because that just was not working. The place that I went to visit was the Arc de Triomphe, and again, I'm really sorry if I have butchered that. I'm not very good at pronunciations in other languages, but I will insert a picture along here. That was beautiful to see. And then I made my way over to the Eiffel Tower, and by this point I think it was raining, but again, I will insert a picture in here. Just be careful when you are in Paris. There are a lot of pickpocketers, and I should have said this from when I got off the train towards the Louvre, that I did have someone try and take my phone. And there is a few different tricks that they do. One of them is that, so I have a notepad here because I had to remember what I was doing. But they basically, I had my phone in my hand and I was looking at the maps as I was trying to work out where I was going. And she put a clipboard in front of my face and tried to put it above my phone. So I guess she would have tried to take my phone. And just don't be fooled, because these are a lot of older generation that did it. And there was a young girl with her. But I'm quite an anxious person, so when people randomly come up to me and start shoving things in my face, I naturally have a guard up and I will start shouting no and leave me alone. And that's exactly what I did. I shouted no and she got scared and ran off. But then I did notice that she did it to the same couple, and I just said to them, ignore them, please walk off, because they are trying to take your phone. But again, another thing happened where they had their phone in their hand. These things happen. It's just, you've got to be really careful and really mindful. I do recommend having a bum bag, because if you have one of them that go across you like this way, then at least you can see that your stuff's in front of you. Try not to walk around with your phone as much as possible. If you have a smartwatch, try and get your maps on your watch. But just really be mindful about when you are walking around with your phone trying to use maps, because there are people that might try and take your phone. And just be careful if you've got it in your pocket to make sure that it's zipped, because they will try and take it out of there too. But yes, going back to the Eiffel Tower, that was absolutely amazing. I have seen the Eiffel Tower before because it wasn't my first time going to Paris. I had been the 2 years prior to that, and I'd gone to see the Eiffel Tower at night. But seeing it during the day, I would have wished that it was a bit sunnier, but seeing it in the rain, it was still just as lovely. Took a quick selfie there, and then I made my last stop, which was to actually get something to eat, because I'd been there all day and realised I hadn't eaten much. So I'd gone over to a restaurant called Carette, and I will add that, again, a picture into here and a couple of videos that I took. But they are known for their hot chocolate. Now, the hot chocolate, again, to be mindful, just another little tip. The hot chocolate, it comes in a little teapot. So just be mindful that if you are by yourself, you might want to say, can they half that? Because I then felt bad that I didn't want to waste it. So then I drank the entire thing to myself. But then I bought a little brioche bun thing, and I barely managed to get to finish that because I was very, very full by the end of having that hot chocolate. But the hot chocolate, the cream, it was absolutely lovely. They have so many pastries in there. They have macaroons, which I did bring back for my mum because she absolutely loves macaroons. But that is how I spent my first ever solo trip. And it seems like it's so small and I didn't do a lot, but I was only there for one whole day. And it was a lot to get done in one whole day. So definitely have a plan. If you're going to do anything like Paris or anything that you do, actually, if you travel, always try to have some type of itinerary and a plan, because that is going to help you with what you want to do and understand how you're going to do things. Things might change, so you might have to be like, okay, maybe not, can't do that today. But if you were there for one full day, just have a bit of an itinerary so you know what you're doing, and just keep checking to make sure things are actually open and stuff like that. So just dipping into the questions. So I've got about 3 questions about language. So one of them being language barrier. So language barrier, I'm quite lucky. My mum, I find it really funny. My mum took GCSE French back when she was in high school, and she keeps telling me, I don't know anything. I don't remember any of it. Well, I had to call her a couple of times and be like, Mum, what are they telling me? And she would easily translate for me what they were saying. But if I couldn't get hold of my mum at the time, then I would just use Google Translate. If you have iPhone, I don't have any other phone, but if you have iPhone, then they have a translation app already downloaded onto the phone. So I would use that. A lot of people do speak English, but some people don't. So when they don't, that's when I would take out my phone and say, this is what I'm trying to ask. But a lot of people speak English. A lot of things are easily navigated. A lot of the wordings you can kind of guess. Based off, some of them look a little bit English, but a lot of the times the language barrier was pretty easy for me to navigate with. And I didn't really ask many people for directions, simply because I used Google Maps, and I'm not the best with directions on Google Maps. I am terrible with Google Maps, Apple Maps, any of that. I am absolutely terrible for it. But you can use them and get around, and it will give you a step-by-step guide on how to get what train to get, what numbers of the trains to get, because they're coded by numbers and colours, if I remember correctly. And they're metro, so it is really easy to navigate. In terms of apps that I used, I didn't really... That was another question, sorry. What apps did I use? The only app that I used was Get Your Guide, and that was to book the Louvre. And then, like I said, I used Google Translate or just the Translate app on my iPhone. And then that was pretty much it. And then I would say, I would recommend using the Eurostar app. And that's just because you can have your tickets on there and it's easy to pick up and get. But other than that, that is completely all in terms of apps that I used. And then the final question was currency. So France and a lot of places in Europe use euros. And then in terms of cards, so I'm really bad for this. I don't always take cash with me from whatever country I'm going to, which is sometimes bad because there's a lot of places that require you to take cash. I mean, I was pretty lucky over there. Nowhere required me to have cash. I was able to use cards. And I just use one of those travel cards. So I either have my Chase account, which is you can use abroad and it's no fee. I use Monzo, again, another travel card, and it's like fee free. And the other card that I mainly use, which is my main one, which is Revolut. They're all online bank accounts. They're easy to set up. I will show you the apps like here. I will put like their little logo so that you can spot them. But they are great cards to use. If you want to travel abroad, all of them are fee free, so you don't get charged for using them abroad. But that is absolutely... So those are all the questions that I have for now that I have been given. But if you have any questions, then please comment them down below. See, again, brain fog. Please comment them down below and I can answer them in the next vlog series because they might relate to the next trip that I took. My next trip was Dubai that I took after I went to Paris. So if you have any questions about Dubai and solo traveling there, then please, again, link them down below. If you have watched this far, then I just want to say thank you so much for the love and support. I'm very old school. I still do my hearts like this. I can't quite get with the other hearts. Can you, any one of you, get with the hearts? I can't get with those hearts, but I'm still very old school. But yes, thank you for all the love and support that you have given me on my YouTube channel. Please do make sure that you follow me on my socials on Insta and TikTok. And yes, I will see you in the next vlog series. Bye guys.